thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Why I Love Flagler County, your local podcast spotlighting local businesses and local residents on what they love about Flagler County. So today I'm super excited to have my guest, Miss Kandi, with us today. Kandi, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Well, Candy and I met just last week. She was at our local BNI chapter just visiting, and she brought in the best cheesecakes. You guys like talk about having like the best product ever. It's like she made 100 like mini cheesecakes and there was like four different flavors. My favorite was it's like considered like it's banana pudding or something like that, right? Or banana something.
Yeah, it was banana pudding cheesecake. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that was I love banana pudding. I mean, I saw that vanilla wafer and I was like, I know exactly what that is, and I have to have so many of them. So I was like, I'd love to talk more because some people on the podcast, who if you've listened for a really long time, know I really love to bake. So I'm just gonna might get a little nerdy. Apologies in advance, Candy.
Sure,
Um,
so.
yeah, well, I'd love for you to kick it off and just share a little bit about your journey coming here to Palm Coast, coming to Flagler County, and how has that been for you?
I love Palm Coast. I've lived here for almost 10 years. I'm shy just a couple months. I did used to vacation here before I moved here for about 12 years before that. And every time I would leave for vacation to go back home to Tennessee, which I loved, I would cry because I really felt like I was supposed to be here and not there. So back and forth, we started planning to move down here. I planned to move here after my son graduated high school, but unfortunately, my dad had a medical incident.
Mm.
And so my family all had to move down here a little early. I'm an only child, so I help my parents. And so I came down here and rented a house and found a job in the line of work I was in at the time. And that's how I ended up down here permanently.
Oh,
Um, I love it here. There's so many things about Palm Coast. I mean, you have the wildlife, the beach is closed. There's so many restaurants around that are not chains and they're mom and pop, and you've got a huge variety. But I think the best thing about Palm Coast is the neighbors. My neighbors are great. Everybody across town is great neighbors. I've met a group of people over the time I've lived here, and we've just become really great friends and really great community activists and really supportive of each other. And it's just a really great community here.
oh wow, that's so sweet. I'm so glad that you mentioned like getting to know your neighbors. I think that's obviously super important, and that's really a huge draw of what brought my family here. Is we really wanted to be in a place where everyone cared for each other and everyone knew each other the best way possible.
Right,
That
right,
it's like, oh, I know, I have someone who needs this. Oh, I have a friend who does that. Oh, I need this. I have a friend who does that. Why don't we just have like friendly get-togethers, dinners and stuff like that? And just having that
right.
community that supports each other in that sense. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. That's so important. I know for my family when we moved, which was not too long ago, and we've really loved that aspect as well.
Right.
I would love for you to talk also a little bit about your business, is I should say you are aware of many hats. So I'll let you kind of take it away and explain a few of them, and then how has that been for you?
Yeah, my business actually, it's merged into one now. I'm a licensed mixologist and also a dessert baker. That craft has been honed for the last going on 4 years now out at the St. Augustine location. I work at the Guy Harvey Oceanfront Resort. I'm their mixologist and their dessert chef there. So I had a while to hone my dessert craft and having people telling me all the time, why don't you do this out of your house? You should do this, you should do this. So I worked a couple events that we had and I was their bartender for, it was like a wedding reception. We had like a couple different events there and I really enjoyed the private kind of bartending aspect of it. So when I created my business, it's called Sugar Shakers, and it's with a Z on the end, Sugar Shakers, because I cook sugar and I shake drinks, so Sugar Shakers. Um, and I do events now for folks. So it's a kind of a streamline for people that are planning an event because you can get two things done in one. I can do a single cheesecake. I've done dessert tables for people, set that up, and then I put my mixology gear on and I flip over behind the bar, set that up, and I kind of keep the bar going and the dessert table going, kind of going back and forth. It keeps me busy. I get to kind of hear everybody talking about the food and the drinks, and it makes everybody smile. So that's what I'm going for, is getting everybody to smile. I really enjoy people. I've always been involved in I guess civic activity, public service with people.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking very briefly before we started recording that there's nothing better than like creating something and then showing it to people and they're just loving it. And it just means so much. Like I bake for fun. I bring like just small cakes and cupcakes and whatever to and cookies especially is a big hit.
Yeah.
To like just friends and just seeing the smile on their face. They're like, you should do this as a business. I was like, I don't think I'll do this as a business. Seeing you guys happy makes it a business for me. It's
Right. It
my
really
opinion.
does.
Like, yeah, not that
A baker
I'm,
understands that, because the
yes,
currency that a baker deals with is smiles and hugs, really. That's the currency
right.
that we really deal in,
Yeah,
I think.
I know. I mean, I feel like if you're not a baker or maybe you just don't do something like that, which is totally fine. Um, and you're like hearing this, you're like, oh, that sounds so cliche, but I don't know how to tell you. It's just true.
It is. It
It's
is.
just true, and it's just how I feel, and I love that part. Like I have
Yeah.
friends and that we come over, and I kind of pretty much just bake for them, but the aspect of like them handing me ingredients and like while we bake cookies and then them trying it afterwards, like nice and hot from the oven. It's like you
Yeah.
can't, it's a priceless feeling to do that
It
with
is a
people you
really
care
good
about.
feeling. And when I was growing up, and I was going to middle school, we actually had a class called home ec.
But yeah.
Where we actually did that. And one of my things for Palm Coast, one of my ideas for Palm Coast, because like I said a million times, I love it here and I want to make it even better. They built the new sports center out there, and we have a bunch of empty rooms. So I think it would be wonderful. I could volunteer some time to teach children how to make some simple cookies, and I think you might enjoy something like that. So
Oh yeah.
that's something that Alan Lowe, he's running for mayor, who I support. He's all involved with making that sports center something that a lot of people can enjoy in different aspects, and getting everybody like educated and involved and on the same page. I think that's missing in schools right now.
Oh yeah, I think especially because I I don't know if you feel this too, but I hear so many people say things like I can't cook and I can't bake. And for me, my brain is like, how can you not? Like if you don't like it, that's totally fine. But I feel like at least like the basics of maybe like a stir fry or something. And maybe if you really, really don't like cookie, then this isn't for you, and I totally understand. But it's like
Yeah,
I don't we as people like we should be able to learn just the basics of understanding of how this works. No one's
yeah.
asking you to make a souffle. I know, like a baked Alaska, things like that. That's definitely right. That's something else.
Well,
Macarons,
that's
no.
like expert
Yeah,
right there.
that's like something that you have a lot of time on your hand you want to do, right? But
Right.
I mean, I have such a passion for kids in general. I used to coach figure skating to kids, and just watching them grow from these experiences is so rewarding. And it's sound like you said, volunteering some time, I would love to. Baking
Yeah,
cookies with kids is probably like the most fun thing that I ever think of.
I think it would be great. I think it would be great, and even teach them
Fun,
how to
yeah.
bake cupcakes, and
Right.
I could go ahead and bring some, frosting already ready in the piping bags, and they can like learn how. I just have all kinds of ideas all the time. I don't
Yeah.
have enough time in a day to do all the things I want to do, but I'm really trying hard.
Yeah, well, I used to do like I'm not one and I've accepted this, but I used to be in a bunch of cake decorating classes as a kid, and even though I still have all the pictures, I was going through them like the other week, and like it's not good by any means, but I remember having so much fun with my friends and doing that, and that's a feeling that I just look at those pictures and I instantly feel, and then the embarrassment of like I can't believe that I designed that, but I was also
Yeah,
7, so I have to be like gentle to myself.
I just think that's adorable though, because it's good that at your age that you can you can already see that those types of memories actually feed your soul and feed you as a person. And when you're going through it as the child, you're not thinking of that. You're just like, oh, I'm making cookies. But then you get older and you have
Frosting.
a different aspect on it, right? So that's what we want to build in our children. We want to have enrich them in all the ways, like teach them economics, teach them how to cook, teach them about conservation and the different animals here. We have so many things that we can teach them. There's so many retired people. We have a very enriched community here. A lot of older people, I'm getting older and I'm finding my purpose with my Flooded in Flagler County page. A lot of us, as we get older, we really look for that purpose again to take us the rest of the way through. And that's kind of, how I feel with my baking, and being really involved in the community. It's just really important to me now that I'm getting older. And some people, it hits them when they're younger. But for me, it just, I thought everything, the government did everything, and I didn't have to like be involved and do things. I don't know where I got that mindset from. And I know I'm not the only one, but now that when you're not watching, you don't know what's going on. And I'm not saying anybody's doing anything shady, but you don't know what's going on. How can you help or be involved or have any complaints if you don't really know what's going on? And
Yeah,
so
I
being
mean,
involved is
yeah,
important. I'm gonna
yeah.
tell people, if you love Palm Coast, you have to
Mm,
be involved. You gotta watch what's going on. You gotta come to city council meetings. You gotta stay involved because this is a very great, tight-knit community with wonderful neighbors, but we all need to meet each other. We all need to have a common cause, which is to keep our city, Palm Coast, beautiful, lush, green, and flourishing. That's what we all want. So we all got to band together to keep it that way.
yeah. I mean, I kind of shared it as well before we started recording that, my dad's always been involved with politics. He's always been aware, and he's always been telling me stuff too, which like not everyone understood when I was so young. They're like, "Why are you telling her these things?" And he was just telling me, basic things to keep out for, because otherwise things happen which you could have had a voice, you could have taken a stand for, but you don't know what's happening. Like you mentioned, if you're just not looking, you're not really paying attention. So I think if that's important to you, that is number one. You have to make your voice heard no matter what. Even if you think
Right.
that's not going to change anything, I would rather myself know that I at least did what I could to make my voice heard rather than, oh, I just let them pass this or I let them do this without me ever saying anything about it. And I think that's a harder feeling to sleep with.
It
Um,
is a hard thing to sleep with. Yeah, you got to definitely get involved. And so I want to tell your listeners, that my webpage, is on Facebook. It's called Flooded in Flagler County. The reason it's called that is because of all the new builds that have been going in. I live in an existing neighborhood, and they built two new homes, one behind and one next to me, and my backyard started flooding up to my home. Got into my home the last time. So I started doing research, and that's how I found out about them being built higher. No height limit was installed. There was nothing. So through this whole 6 months process, we've got them to go into the building code and change the heights. There's actually a restriction now. If they're building between two infill lots is what they're called. If there's a lot next to you that's not developed, that's called an infill lot. That's what they call it. So there has been really no restrictions on that for the last 2.5 years. So if anybody wants to join the page, it is a private page, but if you write on the questionnaire at the beginning, saw you on the podcast, we'll let you in so you guys can see what's going on because it's your city too. And we're trying to get the swells fixed because they flood and they don't drain. And we're also trying to get them to stop this building because it's flooding us existing residents and they're not taking that into account. So we're trying to get some of the code changed to prevent, them destroying our city that we all love so much.
Yeah, so I'll make sure I have those links in the description so people can click on that a little bit easier. And then obviously it's a private group with the questions, so make sure you put that in because no one wants trolls or anyone who doesn't have the best
Yeah.
intentions to just around the groups. It's important to keep
Right.
those spaces,
We had it
not,
public, we had it open, but that started happening and it was causing political arguments. And this
yeah,
is not a political issue. This is a citizen issue. There's no R, no P, no I. It's all a C. We're all citizens of Palm Coast. And that's what this group is about. And we're going to deal with other issues after we get this one handled, like the swales, like the water plant, and anything else that's been brought to our attention. I get a lot of calls and a lot of emails, and there's a lot of repetitive upcoming things that people want addressed. So we're going
yeah,
to obviously save our homes first and our yards next, and then we'll go with the other stuff and try to help as a group, as a community. We need more
yeah,
people. Come sit
yeah.
with us at city council.
Sounds perfect. I mean, I really, really appreciate that you guys are going out there. You guys believe in something and you guys want to change, and you guys are clearly making a change. And I'm a huge, huge advocate, like I mentioned, that we do have an effect. I mean, it's we the people kind of for a reason. And
Mhm.
we should make sure that we remember that we matter, especially in such a time when people feel like on one side, like social media, you feel like you're one of 1,000, but also like you're one of five. It's a very weird time, in my opinion, like
It really, really
where
is.
you feel socially and where your voice feels socially. But like I said, you have to at least try, otherwise it's so much harder to cope with all the changes knowing that you did nothing.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
well,
we're
Candy,
straight. We want to make it, we want to keep it beautiful for the younger generation, our
mm-hmm.
grandchildren, and the children that you will have someday. You know,
Yeah.
that's what we want. So that's what our group's about. It's all about heart. There's no, we're not bought or paid for by anybody. This is just citizens getting together for a good cause.
Yeah. Well, Candy, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it. This was so much fun. Obviously, my number one topic of all time, but then also another topic that I hold really, really close to my heart is just citizen impact and the effect that we can all have with just a few people who are organizing together who believe in a cause. That's something that I didn't even realize you did, and I'm just so glad that we brought that up because it's really, really important to me. So, thank you so much for the time today. This has been so much fun.
Thank you. I've had a great time. I really appreciate you letting me talk and inviting me. And I'm so happy that you liked my cheesecakes too.
Of course. Oh my gosh. You guys, you definitely, if you're at an event and Candy's there, hire Candy for night, whatever you have to do, try those banana pudding cheesecakes. You will not regret it. The turtle ones also, turtle is like the best flavor ever as well. So I'm gonna like get into a whole debate with like what is the best flavor, but in the end, they're just really good. And I'm just so glad that I was able to meet you and try them.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll see you there again.
Yes, I wish you had come the week before because I brought cupcakes the week before. I made cupcakes, mini cupcakes.
I missed that.
Yeah. Dang it. No worries. Next time for sure.
Yes, next time we'll have your bacon.
Sounds good. Well, again, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone listening. I really appreciate you, and I will see you next time.